there's nothing wrong with you. Everything about you is why they attach themselves to you. So you just need to really recognize the signs of when a narcissist is coming your way. Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started.
Oh, and stick around to the very end because we got some outtakes. That's been happening.
There's always outtakes, and the team does collect them for bloopers on the YouTube, but we're adding them into the end of the pod because you know what? You need to know that we are not perfect. You're not perfect.
And we're enjoying the process.
And we are enjoying that. So have a good laugh on our behalf. Love you. Welcome back to the Be It Till You See It interview recap. My co-host Brad and I are going to dig into the actionable combo I had with Rebecca Zung in our last episode. If you haven't yet listened to that one now, you must, because you need to go back and listen to that one and then come back and join us. You can also listen to this first and then go listen to that. But y'all, this is one of the guests that was on my I want on my show when we first started this podcast. I heard her on two other people's podcasts and I had her on my list.
Yeah, it was on the wish list.
And then do you all remember when I had that girls' weekend? I think I talked about this on the podcast. I don't think she knew how this worked out. I was on a girls' weekend. Remember those girls I just met on the internet? And I was like, yeah, come out to Vegas. And we had a girls' weekend. And she's like, one of the girls was like, well, what do you need? How can I support you? And I was like, I want Rebecca Zung on my podcast.
Yeah.
Not thinking she knew her.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, she's my friend. And I was like, what? She's like, let me text her. She literally texted her at the bar and Rebecca Zung said, I'm wrapping up my book. So reach out to me after September 1st. And Carrie said, would you prefer email or text? And she said email. So literally after September 1st, Carrie was like, and she's one of our recent guests. She said, hey, Rebecca, she said, this is Lesley. She's on a podcast and now she's on my podcast. And we actually did this interview a while back, but she requested that it came out during her book launch, which you can go get her book.
Which is pretty much now.
Which is now. So anyways, today is September 28th, 2023. It is Remember Me Thursday. The purpose of today is to share the importance of pet adoption and shine a light on all orphan pets waiting in shelters and rescues. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I torture myself because I do look at the Nevada SPCA.
Yes, you do.
I know. I do. And then I watch their videos, but
I was like,
there was that
on
red
the
nose.
fence of getting that red nose.
Oh my God. There was that red nose.
It's fucking cute.
So cute.
He was a good dog.
Oh my God.
But 4 dogs and 2 humans in a van.
No.
It's too much.
We promised ourselves we would try out 2 dogs.
Oh.
I'm sure it won't stay that way because now 3 is too many, but here we are. But at any rate, if you cannot adopt, if you live in a place where you cannot adopt, you cannot foster, which by the way, you can be someone who fosters. If you're like, I travel a lot, you can actually be a foster and you can tell a shelter or a charity, I can foster for these 2 weeks.
Right.
And then I'm going to be gone. And
or even if you're not allowed, let's say you live in an apartment and you can't have a pet, you can actually volunteer to just walk the dogs.
You can walk the dogs.
I used to do that, just drive down a mile down the street. There was a couple of shelters and they always needed help walking dogs.
Oh yeah. We used to walk the shelter dogs when they were at the vet. That's right. Yeah. Anyways, I promise you, especially if you're lonely, especially if you're going through a lot, there's something really special about just taking a dog who has no family for a walk.
Yeah.
It really does fill your soul. They're so loving and they just want to be loved. So anyways, the other thing is you can donate, find a charity that you can donate to because your money will help dogs get rescued and also help them get placed.
Yeah.
Shout out to, we listen to a podcast, Keith Olbermann, and every single night he actually talks about a dog in need.
Yep.
And most of the dogs I'm not a small dog person, but I love how he highlights them. And so he can't adopt them all. So I don't know, maybe we should just it's a little hard for us because our podcast comes out we don't get to record same day. We don't have the luxury of being Keith. But I do want to figure out how to I just keep going, adopt this dog, people.
Yeah.
Anyways, so go do that. This week, you may have caught that I was going live with Andrea Maida on YouTube.
Over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's happening. So Andrea Maida and I are dear friends, and we used to do a YouTube series together called The Struggle is Real, and then we did tequila talks. And then
which is Pilates and tequila, y'all.
Yeah, we just answered Pilates. Well, we didn't do Pilates and drink tequila. We drank Pilates and answer your questions.
Yeah.
And YouTube recently allowed different YouTubers to go live together. So we did one on my channel, one on her channel, and we're answering your questions. And so check them out. You can find them on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/@ online Pilates classes. Yes, you need the @ symbol. I think it's weird, but it's Google. They know what they're doing. And then I believe Andrea is the same, youtube.com/@ Pilates Andrea. Yes, you need the @ symbol, babe. Mm-hmm. He's nodding because I'm correct. If you're watching on YouTube.
She's totally right.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
Yeah. So anyways, you can't just go / online Pilates classes. It doesn't work. You have to use the @ symbol.
Yeah, hers is not at Andrea Maida.
No, it's Pilates Andrea.
Oh, Pilates Andrea.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Subscribe.
Links will be in the show notes, and you should like and subscribe both.
Ding, ding.
Ding, ding. That's what the bell does. Ding, ding. So all that'll be in the show notes. And then we are really even much closer to getting on a plane and going to Cambodia for our retreat.
I am so fired up. I cannot wait.
I know. And also because we have a couple, after the retreat ends, one of our retreaters is staying longer, and the next retreat that's starting up doesn't really happen until that Sunday. And so I want to go to Kulin to the elephant thing with her.
I don't know how we didn't know this, but there's an elephant sanctuary about an hour and a half outside the city. The only one I knew about before was 12 hours drive away. And I was like, well, that's complicated.
That's not happening.
We never really even tried to plan that. But I just found out this one just north of Siem Reap. And it turns out our amazing tour guide, Peach, she literally knows the people who run it.
Of course she does.
Goes there often. So
yeah, so we're gonna make that happen. I hope. My fingers are so crossed.
I'm very excited about that idea.
I don't know. Does that mean we can also go to the waterfall?
Yeah, maybe we're there. Why not?
Yeah. Anyway,
it'll be Saturday.
So that is stuff that we do. Obviously, that doesn't always happen on the retreat. That's something we're doing after the retreat. But if you stay after the retreat, and we're there, there's adventures to do. In fact, we don't have to be there. You can go do adventures just because you're already there. You can stay at our place. So it's super fun.
We do Airbnb that out when we're not there with retreaters. So yeah. LesleyLogan.co/retreat. Yeah. And if you are looking for a spot to take your retreat to, we do all the logistics, and we have the whole thing set up where you can effectively take your group. We'll handle all of the legwork, and you can teach them your thing, and then effectively run the program that we've created with the food and the touring and the experience and the hotels and all the thing, all of it. So
yeah. And then November 4th and 5th, I'm in Chicago with Erica Quest teaching a weekend of Pilates workshops. We were so excited to team up again. We'll also actually be doing that in December.
That's going to be a fun trip.
Oh, I'm going to have a blast. Oh, you might not know this. I'm staying later.
Come on.
I am. I'm staying. So it ends on Sunday.
I'll handle the dogs, babe. I got this. Don't worry.
I'm staying later, and Sue Spinelli is going to meet me in Chicago, and we're going to do a couple days. Just
breaking news.
Breaking news.
Internal family news here.
And when I come back, I'm going to go to Arizona.
What? What do you mean? Where? Where are you going?
Oh, I use those points to get an incredible hotel. My mom is coming out to visit.
I knew this.
You knew this part.
Yeah, I knew that part. I didn't realize that it was right after
I'll be
Chicago.
home for 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll just keep watching the dogs.
Yep.
I got this.
Yep. You do. This is payback for that month you were in Cambodia. I get 1 week. Anyways, but the things you can attend of that entire conversation is November 4th and 5th in Chicago.
Do it.
It'll be with Erica Quest. You'll need to make sure you're on our email list to get that information because I don't have a link right now.
Go to opc.me/emails.
Yep. And you'll want to do that same thing to understand what's going to happen with our winter tour, because our winter tour, we go from Las Vegas to Philly area and back, which means lots of cities can be hit.
There are so many. And honestly, this is going to be way different than our previous tours. I think there's going to be a handful more locations. We're going to be teaching workshops instead of just classes this time around. We're going to be bringing the decks with us. We are already sponsored by Balanced Body for this leg of for this tour. And we got a bunch of other companies that we're talking with right now. So it's going to be an amazing experience. We cannot wait to announce the cities. And we'll be doing all that at the end of close to the end of this. Probably right around when this is coming out, actually, is when we're going to be publicly announcing that. So
you'll want to be on those emails. Just saying.
Do it.
Because they're all limited spaces. Okay, before we get into Rebecca Zung's incredible advice, do we have an audience question?
Yeah, we do. This one was awesome. We got a YouTube question from at Wayne Fark U. Harson 9007.
The way you said that, it makes me think that they found a new way to say fuck you.
I know. I'm not sure. I don't think that
maybe
it's that.
Farquharson.
It could be Farquharson. Farquharson. I'm going to go with that. We're going to go with that, y'all.
We're going to Google this person. Because it's an incredible, amazing question. So I can't imagine that's a fake name.
Well, it was a comment on one of our videos about comparing different, explaining the different pieces of a Pilates equipment. I said, wow, that was amazing insight into different pieces of equipment. It would be really nice to see some equipment comparisons. So, comparing the different chairs and comparing the different reformers. That's really complicated because there's no place where there's like a showroom of reformers.
No.
I don't know how we would do that.
I did say that on my response back.
You did. Yeah. But she said also recommendations for training providers. And then the question, what makes you an all-around practitioner of Pilates? Do you need to study classical? Do you need to study modern? Is there like a scientific version of Pilates? Like, what is the best path here?
Yeah. So first of all, when it comes to training providers, and what I could decide if this is like teacher training providers or like who to take from. So if it is teacher training providers, you want to get my book, Profit Applies Everything But the Exercises, because the first 3 chapters are us really actually talking about what you need to ask when it comes to becoming a teacher. So you pick the right program. If you're asking how do I find a teacher trainer, a teacher that can train me as a human being who just wants to practice Pilates and be an all-around practitioner? Well, this is complicated.
Well, before you keep going, if you're looking at that book, it's profitablepilates.com/book.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah. So here's the thing. I did a video on YouTube about the truth about Pilates. And in there I discussed what you should be looking for when it comes to a Pilates teacher. Cause I think it's extremely important that you are armed with how do I know that this person's the right teacher for me? And it doesn't mean how many years experience they have, but their foundation of their teaching is important. So looking for a teacher who has a comprehensive training is going to be really awesome. And you're looking for things like in bios, you're looking for things that say comprehensive or 450 hours or more in their bio. Now, because I know a lot of people teach Matt and listen to this, hold on. I fucking love you. It's how I got started. You're an amazing teacher. I bet you're the best at what you do. However, if somebody wants to be an all-around practitioner, ideally they have access to other equipment. So this is not a diss on you. It's just answering the all-around practitioner question. As far as is classical better than modern versus scientific, that's going to be a little bit more of a personal, like a personality style, and also finding the teacher that you feel sees your body best. I am a classical teacher. However, some of my friends are one of the best contemporary teachers out there. Shout out to Erica and Portia and Joy and all these people, Jessica Vaughn, all these people who are amazing at what they do. I would not say that I'm better or they're better than me based on the style. What makes a teacher the best for you is their curiosity in your body and how it's going, and their ability to take you on a journey that makes you stronger than you were the day before. And so if your teacher is constantly telling you what not to do. They're counting a lot. They're overcorrecting you. You feel like you do nothing correctly. That is not going to make you the best all-around practitioner. You are looking for people who can be a coach, who can be a guide, who encourage movement, and who are okay letting you make mistakes and be on a journey. Brett is smiling, so I'm just going to let him jump in.
Well, I'm just laughing about our last episode where we were talking about cults. So there's a really...
These two episodes came back to back.
Back to back, y'all.
I know, and then they're also right after the pastor, so... Two pastors in a row.
Two former pastors in a row. Adrian and then Nicole.
I know.
Yeah.
And then they're not pastors anymore. Anyways, go ahead.
But I was going to say, I think that, there's a weird, what's the right word? It's, acceptance, that in restaurants that the chef is a tyrant. There's a weird acceptance that in the dance world that the teacher is so hard and harsh and crazy. And I think that all those people can go fuck themselves because that's bullshit. And in the Pilates world, if you end up with a teacher who is like, this is the only way, everyone else is wrong, then they're wrong. They are 100% wrong. And I will happily tell them that.
And that happens on both sides of the contemporary and classical aisle.
That's
I've seen
what I'm saying.
Both sides.
That happens. That like the reality that was happening in that scenario is that they are creating division in the Pilates community.
It happens in yoga.
It totally happens in yoga. And I mean, I experienced that personally, but it happens in Pilates, and I think it's the worst thing that we could be doing to ourselves in this industry is because we're creating division in this industry. And it's wrong.
Well,
it's wrong.
And also, like, it doesn't allow either the client nor a teacher to be on a journey to learn. And so you asked about scientific, and I'll say this. I know anatomy. I have studied it. In fact, it was a big part of my major before I switched majors. I have taken more than my fair share of anatomy classes. I don't use anatomical terms ever when I teach. And it's not because I don't know them. It's because in Pilates, the whole body should be working. So I'm not going to talk to your rhomboids because I'm not going to talk to your supraspinatus. I'm not going to talk to your prehensile, whatever. Now, if you do that, this is not a knock on you. That works for you. But that is when, so my teacher, Jay Grimes, he said in Joseph Pilates studio, he never once heard an anatomical term. The body was to move. And so to find a teacher or a teacher trainer who, it's not about letting people just be sloppy. It's about letting the body tell you what it needs. If you let a body move without being micromanaged, and this is what I work with those in my mentorship, Elevate. The body, if you let the body move and you just watch it, it's going to tell you what it needs. It's going to tell you where it's getting hung up. And then you get to ask yourself, where else can I help them? Where can I do this? Where should we go right now? And you get to be this curious person.
I just want to say that exactly that curiosity, I wasn't there, clearly wasn't alive when Joseph Pilates was creating different pieces of equipment. But that curiosity is what kept him saying, this person isn't getting the thing. So what if I made another piece of equipment that would help isolate the thing or do the thing, right? I mean, if you go back and you look at the different, go to Balanced Body, go to their library. Ken Endelman has been collecting schematics and like history of Pilates for decades, right? So Ken Endelman has been collecting, all these schematics and everything for years, and they're all different. They're all slightly different. He kept changing and modifying and changing and changing and changing, right? So I can't put words in his mouth, but I would imagine that there wasn't one way to do the thing, right? Because he kept making new pieces of equipment to do the thing.
Well, yeah. And yes.
To get to the point, to get to where he wanted them to be.
Yeah, no, like if you couldn't do it on the Reformer, he would take you to the Cadillac. Correct.
Right.
Yes. Correct. Yeah, I think that's a great point. So anyways, to answer your question, there's no easy way to find the right teacher for you except for to take from different teachers until you find one that you really like. But watch that video that I made on the truth about Pilates and ask your teacher questions. And if you feel like you're never good enough, then find a different teacher. If you are wanting to be a teacher, then go read my book, because the questions I give you are going to be really awesome for helping you find the right program that can make you the teacher you want to be.
Yeah. I mean, not having gone down this path personally, but having edited this book, the questions that you ask allow the reader to look ahead in the future and say, what do I actually want to do with my Pilates career? And then that question and the questions around it in those first 3 chapters will actually allow you to say, well, maybe this isn't the right program for me, or maybe this is the right program for me. And it will equip you with the questions to ask the teacher training program so that you know what you're actually getting.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, now let's talk about Rebecca Zung. Rebecca Zung is an attorney turned educator who specializes in teaching individuals how to negotiate with narcissists, drawing from her personal experience and professional expertise, and has authored the book, Slay the Bully, How to Negotiate with a Narcissist.
Which is out now. You can go get it.
Yeah. Fascinating conversation. Really made me think about my life and my experience with just people in my life.
So here is what I fucking loved. I loved it so much. Like, I don't even need to talk about the rest of the episode. You should watch and listen to all of it. But I loved this. She said, they, narcissists, don't attach themselves to you because you have so little value. They attach themselves to you because you have so much value. And so if you're like, what are these fucking narcissists in my life? Oh my God, I'm like stuck with another narcissist. It's because you're so fucking awesome and they see how they can utilize that. And I think that is the most important thing to consider, because we can get so down on ourselves if we dated another narcissist, or we keep getting sucked into a narcissist in our family, or we keep working for one and we can't stop. It's not because it's you. Like, it's not your fault that you're fucking awesome. You just have to also, you actually just have to figure out how to recognize the signs and how to exit yourself out of those things. Boundaries are amazing.
Yeah, I think, like, speaking from personal experience, having inadvertently surrounded myself with narcissists most of my life, I always appreciated the idea of being the person behind the person. That's how I always saw myself.
Am I a narcissist?
No, I don't think so. That's the thing. But that's
because you're like, you're the person behind this person most of the time. And I'm like, fuck, you are doing that. You keep doing that. Am I?
But because of my operational, all that kind of stuff, right? That's my zone of genius, is being able to do the operations. But I needed to do an operations for someone, right? Mm-hmm. And so I ended up working for a narcissist, being best friends with a narcissist, having business partners, like all this kind of stuff. And the reality is,
because you're so fucking awesome.
Well, thank you. That's what my point was ultimately, is I'm awesome. No, that's not my point. I appreciate that, babe. You're amazing. No, the point is, it wasn't on purpose.
No, you didn't seek it out.
But I also didn't really understand what was happening. And unfortunately, those relationships ended badly, where things ended up in like explosions and fireworks.
I guess I didn't ask her, and maybe I is like, can you even end a relationship with a narcissist without it ending badly? It's kind of hard. I think as a person who cares, I think you're always going to feel like it didn't end. They're never going to let you let it end well.
Well, it didn't end the way I wanted them to. Yeah. I didn't actually want the relationships to end.
Yeah.
Right. And, but there was something innate, in me, that was I got to a point where I was like, I can't do the thing anymore. Whatever the thing is that needed to happen. And whether, personal, work, business, whatever, it was guttural. It was revulsion to continue down this path, and I couldn't understand it in myself, And I really struggled with it for a long time because I actually had, I cared for these people, and that was really, really challenging. But I, and I think that the thing of not blaming yourself, that's hard to do, because you walk away from a relationship that just hand grenaded and you're like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah. And she said, you can't actually blame yourself. They're really good at this. Like they're really, really good at what they do because it's part of like how they became a person in this world. So it's like, this is their habit. And they, if you go back and listen to the cult episode, there's not a single cult leader who's not a narcissist. Like they need people who are wanting to make this world a better place to put them up on a pedestal and help them achieve whatever they want. So I think every single person listening to this has probably experienced or is experiencing currently a relationship with a narcissist that they're stuck on and they're having a hard time with. And go listen to the episode because she's amazing.
Yeah, it was a great episode.
And then probably read her book. And then you have got to get out of like, this is your fault and that like you did something wrong, and instead start to take the steps to put boundaries up. One of the things I remember, one of the reasons why I wanted to have her on the episode at the show, like, because how do you be till you see it if you've like got sucked in with a narcissistic relationship? It is because the only thing you can be is what they need you to be, because they're just going to keep doing it.
Right.
And she's just got some really great actionable steps. It's like when you're working with a narcissist, you're never going to win the argument. So if they emailed you a list of things you did wrong, like emailing them back all the ways that wasn't wrong, they're not going to go, oh, okay. Like you just have to.
Yeah, it doesn't fucking matter. I used to get these crazy fucking emails in all caps and red letters from my boss.
That's so weird. You can't even read that really well. It just looks like it's screaming at you.
No, but I was just
I love that he changed it red to just emphasize the mood.
Yeah. It was him shouting was what it was through emails. Right. And at first I was like, oh,
as if the all caps didn't.
But I got to the point where it was so fucking often, I just ignored it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like, this is him venting about a thing that I can't solve. And so whatever, and I don't think that benefited our relationship.
No, but actually it benefited you. And also like she even said like in this one thing that I heard, one of the things I heard her say is like, no evidence is going to prove that you were right. So if you have to respond back, it needs to be like the simplest sentence. Okay, we'll talk about it at 10:30 on Thursday.
Right.
Like not going point by point with them because that's what they want you to do. And that's how you always lose.
Yeah. You will not win that.
Yeah. And even with one of the relationships that ended with you and a friend who's a narcissist, that's what they wanted. They wanted to go point by point. Like this happened on this day and they did this. This happened on this day. And it's like, yeah, all those things happen the way he thought they happened. But we don't need to go point by point. The culmination of it all is that like, this isn't working and you've been abusive towards me and period.
Yeah.
Anyways, I want to reiterate that one more time. There's nothing wrong with you. Everything about you is why they attach themselves to you. So you just need to really recognize the signs of when a narcissist is coming your way.
It's not your fault that you're in a relationship with a narcissist.
No, they're really fucking good at that. She said it. She's the expert. Okay. What did you love?
Yeah. Love. That's relative here. But the thing that really, struck me was getting out of a relationship with a narcissist is challenging and accusatory and personal and emotional. And she said, when she shared the wisdom from her, she had a business coach and a guru, who ironically, guru from last week. But she said her business coach said, listen, it's not what the narcissists say, it's how it lands for you. Meaning, you cannot take it personally.
Mm-mm.
You can't. If you do, you will destroy yourself. And what she started to talk about, which I thought was really interesting, was agreeing with how the narcissist feels without agreeing to the narcissist's point.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so if you've ever been in a relationship with someone who has borderline personality disorder, or is a narcissist, it's the same thing. Like, you need to acknowledge how they're feeling, and they're allowed to feel the feels. But what they're saying might not actually be reality. Right?
Yeah.
It may not be true. And so if you listen to what they're saying, then and personalizing it, it may really, really, really hurt you. But you cannot take it personally, right? She talked about the 4 agreements, take nothing personally in the 4 agreements, right? And, the way to have a conversation and to, like, I don't know, I think her book is about winning an argument, right? She has other stuff out about winning arguments. Yeah. Okay. And basically, you have to acknowledge what they're feeling in order for them to, like, take a pause. Mm-hmm. And so, like, hey, I understand what you're saying, and I understand how this makes you feel. Yeah. And then you get to move on. And that allows you to not take it personally. Yeah. And that's challenging to do. It's really, really hard to do.
Well, I think, like, this is like, y'all, if you are really good at your boundaries, it's really hard for a narcissist to take over, because, like, your boundaries, you saying up for your boundaries in the beginning of a relationship will let people know. Like, one of my clients, she is so freaking, like, badass about, like, she tells a job, she's like, I actually don't work more than 8 hours in a day. You don't pay me to do that. Salary does not mean I overwork myself. She doesn't tell them in the interview. She waits until she's hired. And as soon as they do that, she's like, hey, I've noticed that the last 3 days, the amount of meetings that you've had me in have required me to have caused me to not be able to get my work done in the day. I would just like you to know that, because if you're going to keep putting me in 6 hours of meetings and I have 6 hours of work, they're not going to get the work done. I'm not coming to the meetings. And they'll often, like, go, oh, well, like, you're part of the team. She's like, I am on this team. And being part of this team means the amount of work I can give you is 8 good hours a day. And I'm like, are you, like, there's a part of me that's like, oh my God, like, are you going to get in trouble? She's like, that's fired? Like, not what I get paid to do.
That's true.
That's not it. Yeah. And so, like, she has crazy bosses, and she does not let them push her around, and she doesn't let them abuse her time. Yeah. And so it makes it really hard for them to push these, like, narcissistic things on her, because she's like, that's a boundary I don't let people cross.
It took me years to get to that point at my job where my boss would throw, he would just drop
do you remember when we were at dinner?
Hand grenade into a conversation of like, what about this thing that, like, we haven't talked about in 4 months?
We were at a dinner, and he threw a hissy fit about a cell phone password, and, like, he was texting you. It was, like, very early on in our relationship. It was something about his daughter's cell phone, which has nothing to do with you. It's, like, not even your job. There's, like, someone else who does this. And he was, like, having a hissy fit about this whole thing. And we had to go, we're at dinner. Like, there's nothing you can do about this.
Yeah, but what I would do in the meetings, like, what I got to the point of, because I was tired of getting gray hairs, was I got to the point of saying, hey, yesterday you asked me to do this. Today I blocked out time to do this. And what you're telling me today is priority, is going to affect the thing you asked me to do yesterday. So I am super happy to do either one. You tell me which one is priority, and I will get that done. I think it will take me 4 hours to do this project and 6 hours to do this project. Your call. And when I got black and white with the amount of fucking time it would take to do the things that he was asking me to do, all of a sudden my life became a whole lot easier, because it's funny. He's not unreasonable when you put it that way, but he's unreasonable if you don't, because the expectation is you're just going to get it all done. Right. Yeah. And if you actually spell out what that means, and you're not being angry or confrontational about it, you let them make the decision, then I was able to actually survive the intensity of it, because I effectively.
Well, you kind of disarmed them.
Yeah, let him make the decision. You tell me, man, I'll do whatever you want.
Yeah. That's such a great gift. I think, again, that comes to boundaries though.
Yeah, that was tough. It took me 4 or 5 years to get to the point where I was like, I can't fucking work till 2 a.m. when I'm at home anymore. I'm not doing it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways. Oh, she also, you also like I just want to say like hurt people. I think that's a really important thing to add in here before we go to the be it action. I was like, it's.
Yeah. She said people treat you the way that they see themselves.
Yeah.
And that's part of that. Like if they're lashing out and being accusatory about something, it's very likely that that's how they see themselves.
Yeah. I mean, like, my goodness, we'll have to have her back, but we all need to read her books and then we can have her back with book club. It's so easy for those of you listening to this. I felt years ago, I remember driving. So I was in Orange County and I remember hearing the guy who was probably a narcissist actually, do you remember on MTV? Like they had a show, it was like a nightly radio show, and it was with, oh my God, it was the doctor who, my gosh, there's two guys.
I was definitely not allowed to watch MTV.
Oh, well, no, but I was in college, but there was, you guys, someone shouted out in their car. They're like yelling at us. Yes, Dr. Drew. And it was this, they had a late night radio show that would also air on MTV. And it was with, can't think of his name. I think he has a big forehead. And he ended up with his own late night show. Loveline. I used to love listening to Loveline.
Adam Carolla.
Yes. Okay.
Comedian.
I don't think I think both have been canceled, or at least one. Anyways, Dr. Drew was in an interview way back. It was a radio show. So it was like, this is way before podcasts, you guys. I was in Orange County, I was in college. And he said that there was an increased, this is when there was no Instagram, there's no TikTok, there's no Snap. At the time, there's like just MySpace. And like Facebook was like barely a blip on our screen. Just like MySpace, right? And at that time, he said, social media is causing this increased narcissistic behavior. And now it is insane. Like some of my friends, I would consider it like narcissists in a weird way, just because of the way they like see themselves and the way they do things. They're not a narcissist to me because like they see me as like an equal with them. And like, I've got boundaries. But at any rate, there's this putting yourself out there as this person who knows these answers, these things. It's really easy to either become a cult leader or at the very least, slightly be a narcissist. And so it's because of the way the world is causing us to put ourselves out there. Yeah. That's like, you can be raised like this. And I also think parenting. So I really wanted to have her on because in Being It Till We See It, if you are sucked into a relationship with a narcissist, they will cause you every single day to not be the person you are wanting to be. Brad's got a facial look. He's looking something up. Are you just discover what Loveline is in this moment?
No, I just decided to search for, does social media increase narcissism?
And what did it say?
Well, I don't know the study or whatever. This is just a LinkedIn post, but the answer is yes.
Yeah. I mean, duh.
I don't know I don't know who backed that up, but there's like Psych Alive.
It also makes me wonder, like, is a social media creating narcissism or narcissists attracted to social media? Interesting.
That's
chicken and the egg.
The question.
I'm sure there's a study. Someone can send it to us.
All right. So finally, let's talk about those be it action items. What bold, executable, intrinsic, or targeted action items can we take away from your convo with Rebecca Zung?
Are you going first?
I'm going to go first. So she talked about the 3 approach, which she said are step 1, don't run from the narcissist. Step 2, make a U-turn. And step 3, break free, right? So step 1, she advises you to start creating boundaries, and Lesley was talking about that this entire episode, such as, you cannot speak to me that way. Or like your client said, I'm happy to do that tomorrow, but it's after 6 o'clock, right? Mm-hmm. So observe the situation. The hardest part of it is to like be objective, not subjective, right? Subjective means it's what you're feeling. Objective is what a third party would feel. She says this. She emphasized that it's not to feel bad about choices made in survival mode. Because it's so weird. Thinking back to my experience where I finally drew boundaries, where I said 6 o'clock is my line. I'm not working after 6 o'clock. And that took me years to get to that point. Then I got a phone call one time and I was about to go live on a show. I was hosting a show.
Oh, yeah. You used to have a radio show.
Yeah, I used to have a TV radio show on the internet. And 10 minutes before we were about to go live, I got some fucking dumb bullshit, like explosion, unnecessary thing that had to be resolved that exact second with my immediate boss who was reporting to the owner. And I basically told him I can't do it. And he freaked out at me. And I said, I will call you tomorrow. I'm about to go live. I cannot be having this conversation right now. You're fucking with my headspace. I have to do what I'm doing in my life. And my life is not my job. And that was like, he basically wrote me off after that conversation. And like, you know, but he couldn't fire me because the boss wouldn't let him. But it was the first time that I ever actually drew a line in the sand. You know, so, and I actually felt like that was survival mode because that's not my normal, I don't usually like confrontation, don't usually get into confrontation. And that was the very beginning of when I started to embrace confrontation in that job, because in order to get out, I had to start being confrontational. So, you know, I like that she says, don't feel bad about the choices you make in survival mode. And you're going to need fucking counseling. Also,
that's why,
after that.
Like, side note, I saw someone the other day, they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like the pandemic, I just got in touch with you. And I said, no apologies for not staying in touch with people during the pandemic, period. End of story.
Yeah.
Everybody in the world was in survival mode. Absolutely no apologies. I'm not worried about it. If you have been staying away from me for a year because you've been embarrassed about that, please.
Yeah.
No.
She said step 2 is to make a U-turn, right? And she started explaining her SLAY method, which I thought was super fun, which is strategy, leverage, anticipate, and then focus on you, right? So strategy, you can't start creating a strategy until you set those boundaries, step 1, right? It involves creating a vision, a goal, and action steps in your life. You need to understand what you actually want for you, because if you don't know what you want for you, you're going to just acquiesce to their vision.
That's the whole thing, right? Like they'll say, like, if you don't have goals, someone else will make sure you have a goal.
That's right.
So like, that's just how it goes. Yeah.
Then you need to identify what leverage you may have in the situation. For me, when I was getting out of my job, quitting that job, like he used to sue people who would quit. So how did I quit without getting fucking sued?
I remember that. That was
it was insane, right? How do you get out of that? Right. And so,
oh my God, it was such a cult.
It was, there's no question. But what I realized is that the number one priority for him was family. Mm-hmm. So I leveraged my family. So part of the SLAY method is leverage. And I leveraged my family, and my appeal to him when I left was, my wife is starting a business and I need to support her in that business. Every single thing he ever said to me for the years that I worked for him was about why he does his things for his family. And he could not say, you can't do that, because he stands for family. So I leveraged that. That was the leverage I had in that situation.
You're so smart.
Took me a long time to figure it out. I appreciate that. Number 3, third part, A, is anticipation. Be 2 steps ahead of the narcissist. Understand what type of narcissist you're dealing with. Covert, grandiose, or malignant. I don't know the difference between those 3. I didn't look those up.
She goes into those, I think, in her book.
In her book, she talks about them. So it's worth reading. And then finally, Y is focusing on you, prioritizing your mindset, shift from being on the defensive to being on the offense. And that, you know, it was like, it actually took me getting to a breaking point of like, I can't keep living like this. I'm going to die, to get to the point where I was like, I need to prioritize me. Then I started setting boundaries, right? Then I started trying to plan my escape effectively, right? And that leads to step 3, which is breaking free. The true breaking free is understanding that there will always be narcissists in this world. Mm-hmm. So even when you extricate yourself from the situation you may be in right now, which could be a mom, could be, you know, a sibling, could be a boss, it could be a partner, a business partner. You know, like the reality is there are narcissists, and now that you know, it will be easier to identify them in the future. But again, having somebody to talk to about it is going to really benefit you. So
yeah.
What about you?
So I love this. She said, if there's only one thing she could leave people with, it's that you alone define your value. You alone define your value. So you have to like, and can be really hard. Like she talked about a story of how like she was like afraid that she was going to be seen as inconsistent or a flake because her jobs like took her all over the map. And her coach said, well, you can let people see you as a flake, or you can present yourself as the attorney who has a financial background.
Yeah. So she went from being an attorney to a finance like consultant, like personal finance consultant, back to being an attorney.
Yeah.
And she said, I feel like people are going to look at me like, you just jump around. What are you even doing? Yeah.
And but because she had that experience, now she's she's the best attorney who's got that experience. And so she can really see things from a different place. And by the way, she ended up she has like the number one like divorce firm. Like she's like one of the top, like it's fucking amazing.
One of the top firms in Florida. And she was, some of her clients were billionaires.
Yeah. Which when you're doing divorce, you got to know the finances real well. Anyways, she said, people will think what we tell them to think.
Right.
I mean, this goes back to like the most certain person in the room wins. So she said like how you show up is everything. This is being it till you see it, guys. This is being it till you see it. Your presentation and demeanor dictates how people perceive and interact with you. So here's the deal. This is something oh my God, I'm so grateful. I was on the debate team in college, and in my speech and debate classes, they said, if you make a mistake in a speech, don't acknowledge it. No one knows you made a mistake until you say, oh, I forgot to say it, or I wanted to say, or I meant to do this.
That's right.
Just either if you can find a way to add it back in somewhere else, then do, or just leave it out. And like, that is a kind of a thing. Like when I am presenting workshops.
It takes thinking on your feet to do that.
It really does. When I'm presenting workshops, like, of course, if I don't have my notes in my hand, I'm going to go off the roadmap and go, oh, I forgot this. And I don't say, oh, I forgot this. I say, oh, I want to make sure we do this. Or, hey, let's actually take a moment to talk about this. Some sort of segue to bring that topic in. Because if I go, oh my God, I forgot this. I'm like, how, like when I was in retail, I had this one guy who worked for me, and he had a lot of shit going on in his life. And at one point he was like in between housing, all this stuff. I was really worried about him. You would never know. Because he said when he crossed the threshold from the marble of the mall to the, oh my God, there's like a special kind of like Italian tile. It's like tavertine tile. He like came in and he told himself as soon as he went from the shiny marble floor to the tavertine tile, he would go, it's showtime. And he would just do it's showtime. And that would let him know that in this moment, how I let people see me. And so you guys, he ended up getting a job as one of the top, like highest up managers in an LVMH store, which is like one of the stores like for that Louis Vuitton, Balenciaga, Bulgari owned store. So hard to get a job in one of those companies, let alone a manager right off the bat. And it's because he decided how they were going to perceive him. He was really good at what he did, but his resume might not have gotten that job, but he told them how he wanted to be perceived. And I think that's so important. You can walk into an interview, or you can meet a new client and you can act like, oh my God, I hope they like me. Or you can go, they're fucking going to like me. Here's how I show up. Here's how much I'm worth, and be really clear about that. Anyways, August is on the show right now. If you're watching on YouTube, because he is just having a needy moment. He's having a day, guys. But I hope that this episode really helps give you permission to like be an amazing human being and not blame yourself for the narcissists you've let in your life. And also that she helps you, guide you to getting narcissists out of your life. I'm Lesley Logan.
And I'm Brad Crowell.
Thank you so much for listening. And we want to know how you use these tips in your life. Tag Rebecca Zung. She would love to hear if you bought her book.
Yep.
Let her know and us know what your favorite takeaways were. And until next time, be it till you see it.
Bye for now.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day. Be It Till You See It is a production of the Bloom Podcast Network.
It's written, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell.
It is produced and edited by the epic team at Diseño.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to Melissa Solomon for creating our visuals and Samena Velazquez for our transcriptions.
Also to Angelina Herrico for adding all the content to our website, and finally to Meredith Crowell for keeping us all on point and on time.
Welcome back to the Be It Till You See It interview recap, where my co-host in life, Brad, and I go...
This is like 3 or 4 times now. This is impressive.
Well...
Impressive.